welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south. In the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful October the 6th, 2020. Round of the Potus. Bonjour, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, I guess for me, like everybody else, it was an appalling day that Donald Trump came out and told everybody they'll get over coronavirus just like he did. And, you know, it's nothing to worry about. He also told Steve Mnuchin, Secretary of the Treasury, to cut off any negotiations for a stimulus package for COVID-19 to help out Americans. He said if they don't elect me, they won't get anything until January.
Yeah, and he's talking to the few voters that he has left. I hope they remember what he said when they go to the ballot box. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars also all around the world. Just say Google or Alexa play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and I really appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, Big C, I know we've been pausing. Everybody's pausing now, but I'll never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. Why is that so important to you, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's very important. As we listen to Donald Trump speak about how he doesn't care about Americans, our veterans are Americans, Charlton. We lose some 2 dozen a day to suicide, and he doesn't give a damn. Nor does his administration. They're more concerned about getting a Supreme Court justice in other than taking care of the people of the United States. And our veterans are very important to people. And we need to help them out in any way that we can. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton.
Yep.
We have many veterans that are homeless, that are destitute financially, mentally. And this stimulus package would have helped out those veterans
I know.
that Donald Trump lies and says that he cares so much about. These veterans don't have jobs just like many Americans, and they need the help. And when they're destitute, Charlton, unfortunately, many of them have turned to suicide.
Yeah.
We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, but the administration needs to, put some words to those lies that they tell, that they care about the veteran and have done more for the veterans than anybody else. Right now, Donald Trump is neglecting the veterans of the United States, which leads many of them to suicide as well as succumbing to COVID-19, Charlton.
Yeah, and he said he's going to cut them off unless they vote for him. If you don't know, when you have a madman running things, then you got to pay attention, Big C. I will give out our Veterans Crisis Hotline, 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and you can get to some help. Imagine the president telling, if you don't vote for him, this is for white people, okay? Because that's about the only people voting for him. He says if you don't vote for him, and if you're starving or about to be evicted, he doesn't care. Isn't that something? And you want to give that man your vote? Big C, it's a crazy world out there. I want to say also I'm very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV, On Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants, and the Say Hey Kid. When you reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers, put their property listings on TV, just like McDonald's does it. Car dealerships do it. Sports teams are doing it too. Watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. That's bigcsports.pacwm.com. Our loans are underwritten by Quicken Loans, the #1 lender in America, so really appreciate the opportunity there. Big C, I want to make sure that people get out and register to vote. There's still people who haven't registered. I see programs on the news. People say, well, I'm trying to vote, but they got to get registered. You text the word vote to 26797. That's 26797. Get registered. Tell all your friends that Big C in the NFL said vote, especially in the swing states. Let's make this the biggest vote in the history of the universe. Big C, what is it about people that think they're going to just wait until election day and go vote? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a laissez-faire society that we have in America, is that they'll get it done when they get it done. Instead of being making sure you have all your ducks in a row, that's very important. Make sure you're registered, you're on the voter poll. I mean, you have a year to do that. But now you're out for days to get it done. And it's very important because this election here in 2020 will affect the lives of Americans for the next decade. It honestly will.
Yeah, it really will, Big C. We got to make sure people get out there and do that. It's so important to vote. Don't ever take your vote for. I'm telling you, if you don't vote because you think it doesn't matter, this administration's trying to make sure that it doesn't matter. COVID-19 tests. I know a lot of people want to watch a game as they're about to lose their ability to vote, and women are about to lose the right to choose what happens with their bodies. COVID-19 positive tests are growing in the White House administration. And sometimes if you don't pay attention to it, you'll just miss out because you want to watch the game. And while you're watching the game, people think, well, I got to get registered to vote. You might not have the chance to vote if Potus gets reelected. His staff members testing positive COVID-19. Donald Trump, Melania Trump First Lady, Kayleigh McEnany, White House Press Secretary, Hope Hicks, aide to the president, Quad, his name is Chad, Gil Martin, Principal Assistant Press Secretary, also Caroline Levitt, White House Assistant Press Secretary, Big C, Nicholas Luna, Press Assistant to the President. Think about that. Bill Stevens, Trump Campaign Manager, Kellyanne Conway, former counsel to the President. Remember she had his feet up on the sofa, Big C, when he first got in the office? And then Chris Christie's in the hospital. He's morbidly obese, and he was making fun of Joe Biden for stuttering. And he's morbidly obese, and he's tested positive for COVID-19. He's actually in the hospital, former New Jersey governor. And he laughed about wearing a mask. Senator Mike Lee, Utah. Senator Ron Johnson, Wisconsin. Senator Tom Tillis, North Carolina. Ronna McDaniel, RNC chairman. And then just today, senior advisor Stephen Miller tests positive for COVID-19. That's crazy. The NBA basketball bubble is safer than the White House. Big C, would you have ever thought that? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it was an academic approach.
All right, Big C, we were having a little bit of static with the microphone. Obviously, if it's running out of the Washington, D.C. area, a lot of things are an issue. But I want to ask you again, would you have ever thought that the NBA bubble would be a safer place than the White House when it comes to containing COVID-19? Big C, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah. I mean, NBA took all types of precautions. You did not have people going in and out, where the White House took a lazy affair, lackadaisical approach about COVID-19. They said it was done for everybody.
Yeah.
And they were safe. Which, who so many people actually have gotten COVID-19 in the White House administration office? Because the numbers that come out now, like I said, Donald Trump, this was a ploy on Donald Trump's behalf, saying that he had COVID-19 because his ratings are so far down.
Yeah.
Other people may have it, but I still don't think that he had it. Going into the hospital and 2 days being out, I think that was sympathy from the American public to say, hey, I released, my taxes got released, and I didn't want that to come out. You guys know I've been cheating the government.
Yeah.
I lost the debate, so now I need some sympathy for me. You got to remember, Donald Trump, everything he does is normally a 2-week news cycle.
Yeah.
Something else comes up. He still doesn't talk about the kids that he stole from their parents down on the southern border and have them in cages like salt.
Yeah, he's having some issues, Big C. Our phone lines are having some issues too, but we're gonna press forward, just like we're telling Joe Biden, press forward. Don't go putting everything on pause just because the president's trying to recount. You know, when in boxing, what do they call it? They give you a standing 8 count in boxing. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, he needs more than a standing A challenge. I mean, he right now is operating with a PKO, Charles.
Yeah.
And, you know, when he threatened the American public today,
That's
saying,
crazy.
if you don't vote for me, you are not getting another stimulus package until the next administration.
Yeah.
And that will be in January. And he's supposed to be a president of the people.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you something. I'm not even being flippant. You know, most of his voters are white. I think last election when he got it voted in office, I think 65% of white men voted for him, and I think 52% of white women. And he's telling those people, many have lost their jobs. Many have been affected by COVID-19. They've had family members get sick. They've had their work tell them you got to be furloughed. You can't come into work. You got to wear a mask. You can't go out to the malls. You can't go on vacations. You can't fly on airplanes. And now he's telling them. See, he's not talking to the people that didn't vote for him. He's talking to his base. How are they supposed to feel when the man they gave their heart, mind, body, and soul to tell them, if you don't vote for me, I'm not giving you nothing, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I guess that's what it's like when you live in a trailer park, Charlton.
Yeah.
Is that he told them, it's like, you know, you're going to have to go out there and try to find a way to finagle some money, because I'm not going to help you people out. You spoke about the airline industry. That's the number one transportation industry in the United States.
Yeah.
And the airline industry, Charlton, leads to the hotel industry. And the hotel industry leads to the restaurant industry. So as he's talking about opening up America, and yet he will not allow America to have another stimulus package, so Steve Mnuchin, don't negotiate anymore with the Congress.
I know.
Let these people do without money. I don't care about them. It's all about me right now.
Yeah. So let me ask you again, and I'm not being antagonistic, but I'm really, because you live in the South, so maybe you do see things that I don't see. What is I mean, not that you would know the answer, but in your feeling, what are white people that are struggling and they got a Trump sticker on the bumper of their car or in their front lawn, many of them facing eviction, many of them facing a work crisis and a food crisis, and he's not talking to black Americans. We know he doesn't care about us outside of Herschel Walker. He's too dumb to realize it. But what do they feel? I mean, seriously, what do they say to their kids? You can't eat tonight because the president said no unless we vote for him. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I guess when they sit in those food lines in their cars and waiting an hour to 2 hours to get a small box of food to take home and feed their kids for a couple of days, I guess they're thinking this is what the president is doing for them, that he's giving them a couple of meals to get by.
Yeah.
But they don't see the big picture, Charlton, that he's stealing from them. He's stolen their lives. And regardless of who wins the presidency, in 30 days, we're not going to see an immediate change in American society, Charlton, because the next administration will not be sworn in until January.
Yeah.
So there's still 2 months of suffering that Americans will have to endure even after election. So don't think that this is a quick fix. But those people who walk around thinking that he's looking out for their better interests, all they think about, Charlton, is the minorities that he's hurting.
Yeah.
They don't think about themselves. They think about the minorities suffering more than what he's suffering.
Yeah, most of the people in this country are still Caucasian, and when he's told them, he doesn't care. It's almost like out here sometimes, it's like when somebody wants to get your attention, they'll take a motor scooter and drive it around to get your attention. They make it sound louder. But I got to ask you one more thought too. Your friend Jerry Jones, when he asked people to pray for Donald Trump, remember that? But Jerry Jones wouldn't stand up for Black Lives Matter. I think Jerry Jones is probably the most well-known sports team owner in the United States. And here he won't say a thing about Black Lives Matter, but he asked Americans to pray for Donald Trump. What does Jerry Jones think now that Donald Trump said he's willing to starve white Americans if they don't vote for him? Big C, your thoughts?
You know, I don't even, it's not even about Jerry Jones because his billions will keep him fed. It's just any American, Charlton. You don't have to go to a sports owner or a well-known figure. What does the layman person on the street think? The person who sits down and worries every day, who pays attention to the news cycle,
yeah,
whose kids cannot go back to school because of COVID-19, who have been laid off or furloughed from their jobs.
Yeah.
The airline industry just last week furloughed some 25 to 30,000 people.
I know.
The airline industry.
Yeah.
The number one transportation industry in America. What are they thinking? These are the people that are important. Nobody gives a damn about what Jerry Jones thinks.
Yeah.
What is that person that has lost their job, that has lost their unemployment benefits? What do they think? They're not worried about who's going to win a game, what the score is.
Yeah.
They're worried about how they're going to provide for their children, how they're going to stop that eviction notice.
Yeah. And that's a shame, Big C, because we know sometimes if they don't feel some type of pain, then oftentimes they won't do much to change. I want to appreciate former First Lady Michelle Obama. She's telling people, come out and vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that you got to see a bigot for what a bigot is. You got to see a racist for what a racist is. And this woman...
Well, see, Charlton, when you say that and you talk about his base, you're going to tell me that you think his base does not think like him. So when we think about the person who was elected to the Oval Office 4 years ago, that when we talk about are you racist, are you anti-racist, those people who think like him and believe in him, that's what has America in shambles right now.
Yeah.
Those people who are bigots, who are racist, that voted for a racist and a bigot to keep him in office, who kept the Senate in structure the way that it is.
Yeah.
These are the ones that are making the difference in America. So you have to realize majority of America, based on the last election, are racist and bigots.
Yeah, well, their kids get stomach pains too when they don't have food to eat. And Michelle Obama talked about that, and she's telling people to get out and vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I want to ask you just a couple more things, and then we'll touch on some sports. But I don't want to throw up when I hear some of our sports brethren. They act like we're not even in the debate anymore. They're just yelling about who's going to be fired as a coach or who should be hired as a coach, and they may be losing their right to vote. Isn't that something? It's amazing. So we have this vice presidential nomination, or actually they're going to have a debate tomorrow. I think Kamala Harris is going to chew up Mike Pence, and I think Donald Trump just hurt Mike Pence also because he knows Pence is against him. My opinion. When you think about it, Big C, Mike Pence is the head of the White House coronavirus task force. I was telling you that yesterday, okay? And everybody knows that. But Donald Trump pulled out any talking about COVID-19, and he did it right before the vice presidential nomination had his debate with Kamala Harris. And I'm telling you this, with over 210,000 Americans that have lost their lives, Kamala Harris, as a former prosecutor, she knows that Donald Trump and Mike Pence lied. They lied to the American people, Big C. There's no person that would send their children to a doctor that's caused the death of 210,000 Americans, and Pence is trying to also do away with the Affordable Care Act. Why would Donald Trump announce that he's not going to talk about COVID-19 the day before his coronavirus staff chief is going to debate? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, as he said, get over it. That's what he said. Coronavirus is not that big. It's never been big to the administration. So they have not made it a debate issue because they know that they would lose on that. So why talk about something that you can't protect yourself on? So you avoid that scenario. Donald Trump avoided it with Joe Biden. Mike Pence is going to avoid it with Kamala Harris. And that's the way it is. You have to look at the White House is more worried about a Supreme Court nominee than they have been about coronavirus or getting a stimulus package in. Understand what the priorities of this administration is. It's not about the everyday American citizen, because the everyday American citizen does not make the administration money. When you hire all these drug companies and you allow all these senators to buy stock in their company because you know who they're going to give these billions of dollars to do drug experiments on, Charlton. So these senators make money.
Yeah, they're all making money, Big C. Go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead, Big C. We're still having some problems with your microphone, Big C, but we're going to work to clear it up. Everybody got to do what you got to do. While we're working on Big C's mic, I want to make sure that people go out. If you notice how many burgers there are, there's so many hamburger commercials. You sports fans and political fans on the big game, make sure you order the Big C burger. It tastes ooh-yeah good. It is a tasty burger. You get exotic meats with your Big C burger, so when you go out and get you something to eat, make sure you order the Big C burger. It's only at participating restaurants. Big C, I think we have your mic back on. I know we'll probably go through it. Just like an airplane going through turbulence, you don't stop in mid-flight because you got turbulence, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, now you just put that seatbelt back on.
just put it back on. Well, get your seatbelt back on. I want to say Monday Night Football. I mean, football and sports is all over the place. Either people have COVID-19. There's even talk that Republican Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is sick. They're just not telling you about it because they're trying to rush through the Supreme Court justice nominee. But he's one of the most decrepit ones. You don't see him on TV anymore, do you? They're saying he's sick, but they're trying not to talk about it, and that's another reason that Potus got out of the hospital fast, too. But I want to get into Monday Night Football. It was the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, and the erstwhile defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. And would you believe, it wasn't the tuck rule, but it was a rule where they said that he was already down before a fumble. It's amazing when the chickens come home to roost. Bixie, your thoughts?
The proper call when you got a quarterback in the grass and he's not position is that the official blows the whistle to protect the quarterback. I know Bill Belichick was on the play, but that one play was not the reason that the New England Patriots lost the game. I go back to a play at the end of the second half when Hoyer took a sack and ran out the clock instead of downing the ball or even just sliding down and calling timeout. So there's a lot of debacles in this game for the New England Patriots. The Kansas City Chiefs are just a football team.
Now, I know you say that, and at the same time, there was no Cam Newton, who is a former NFL MVP. And, of course, everybody has some injuries going on right now. But when you think about what I saw last night with Bill Belichick, of course, he's a Jedi Knight. If there's a way to figure out how to slow somebody, you can slow them down. But how good is it for Kansas City when you get slowed down and you still score 26 points in the game? Bixie, your thoughts?
Well, I told you prior to the game that he would come up with some things to baffle them defensively, the New England Patriots would, and they did that last night. If you saw Patrick Mahomes, he missed a wealth of throws last night. He seemed off-kilter in this game. But I also think part of that was that Cam Newton wasn't playing. So you lacked a little motivation because you were expecting a competitive game, and you knew that the backups for New England would not offer that to you.
Yeah, and New England they got to figure out about quarterbacking and how they're going to work it out. But I still appreciate the Chiefs last night with a 26-10 win. And the play that happened, people can talk about it. I think the most egregious play, the Raiders were part of two of them. That's the immaculate reception in Pittsburgh where Fincher Fuqua got, I guess the ball bounced off of his shoulder. He was hit by Jack Tatum. Terry Bradshaw threw the ball, of course. Franco Harris picked it up off the ground and read it in. And the TVs to this day have never shown you if the ball hit the ground or not. And also the tuck rule. So sometimes, it happens to other teams too. But think about this. If you think about the Chiefs, and their close game with the LA Chargers, now a close game with the New England Patriots, are there any defensive coordinators that can just watch those two films? Don't worry about the game with Baltimore because they were overhyped that night and Baltimore was kind of stretching. Have they seen the blueprint on how to slow down this machine, Bixie? Your thoughts?
No, there's no blueprint to slow down Kansas City. You have to also look at what Kansas City did offensively. They took everything that New England threw at them and answered it. They answered the bell. They scored when needed to score. This is what a great team does. Is that you can do whatever you want to do. And you got to realize NFL defensive coordinators have seen Patrick Mahomes for 3 years. They still haven't figured him out. They've lost a couple of games during that stretch. But what this guy can do, we've never seen before in the NFL. That's the difference. So whatever you think you might come up with defensively, you still never know what's the next move he's going to make.
I don't think they're going to go undefeated. Just not that it's important because oftentimes people want to rest players. And for anybody out there wondering too, this is week 4 we just finished. That would have been the conclusion of preseason because NFL plays 4 preseason games. Some teams they need that, and so now you're going to start seeing teams play the kind of football they're supposed to play. At least that's my opinion. I know when I look at Patrick Mahomes and I look at what Bill Belichick did when he had the undefeated team that went right to the Super Bowl and lost to the Giants. Tom Brady quarterbacked that team. Bill Belichick, of course. Now, this team does not seem as explosive as that team that Belichick coached. Would you agree with that, or would you say no, Bixie? Your thoughts?
Oh, no. This is the most explosive team we've ever seen in NFL history. I mean, when you think of what Mahomes has done at quarterback and you think about the receiving corps, Brady didn't have the receiving corps that Mahomes has in Kansas City. He didn't have the running back that Mahomes has in Kansas City. So the only weak link to the Chiefs is their defense. But they have the ability offensively to outscore anybody. And so this is what you look at when you look at this team. You've seen this team down by 3 and 4 scores. They have never been fazed by that. They challenge anybody. They want people to bring their best so they can counter that shot.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing because the reason I ask you that is league-wide, the NFL is averaging 51.3 points a game, both teams combined, and that's the highest Week 4 mark since the 1970 merger. If you go back to 2018, that previous high was 48.1 points per game. That was set in 2018. That's just a difference of 2 points counting on Week 4. And my opinion is just like last night they called Patrick Mahomes down in the grass. They're really doing what they can, Big C, to protect the quarterbacks. They're not even allowing you to take a shot at a quarterback. And so if you're going to let up so you don't get the 15-yard penalty or maybe even tossed out of a game, I think that's what we're trying to see. A little bit more of the edge is going over to the offense, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, that's been throughout the league this entire 4 games. I mean, look at the late hits on quarterbacks that have happened across the league. They are trying to protect the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are the number one investment in the NFL.
Yeah.
They are the reason that people come out to stadiums to watch the game. You look at the teams that are undefeated and look how well their quarterbacks are playing.
Yeah.
You're not going to be playing that well if the quarterback is on the bench. We saw that with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Cam Newton goes to the bench. New England scores only 1 poultry touchdown late in the game.
Yeah.
So they were non-competitive. So when you start losing starting quarterbacks in the NFL, when they lost Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago at Green Bay to a broken collarbone,
yeah,
Green Bay went in the tank. They were leading their division. So when you lose starting quarterbacks in the NFL, which are, there's only a dozen of them that are good, you don't want to lose those guys because your team is dependent upon them.
Yeah. I got to ask you something. I know as a defensive player, you thought that you were held on every play, and maybe you were, but you were also doing your own holding from some things you've told me. But you think about this. There's been a decrease in flags for offensive holding. I believe there's been 126 such calls in 2020. That's the NFL's lowest total since at least 2001, a 56% drop from 2019. So the league has made offensive holding a point of emphasis, and they're trying not to call it as much, Big C. I mean, whatever it is, they don't want to take away a positive play by quarterbacks. However, I want to ask you this also. Do you think anything has to do with we don't have those stand-in-the-pocket immobile quarterbacks anymore? Most quarterbacks, at least half of them, can get outside of the pocket and avoid the pressure. Therefore, there's not going to be a holding call. Your thoughts?
Well, you have quarterbacks that are just sitting in the pocket.
Yeah.
You're going to create these holding scenarios.
Yeah.
But when you take a snap and you start rolling right away to create more time and open in the field, then there's a lack of opportunity for offensive linemen to hold in that case.
Yeah, I find that to be the case too. We're going to do one more story before we come up on the Big C pause. There's something to call Monday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers, would you believe they're trying to copy the Big C burger? They added what's called Falcon meat to their cheeseburgers at Lambeau Field, Big C. They added the Falcon meat to the cheeseburgers in beating the Atlanta Falcons. And when we just talked about the quarterback that's mobile, you have that Aaron Rodgers. The quarterback that's not mobile, and you have that Matt Ryan. I think people saw the difference in why it doesn't make any sense for a GM to scour the college landscape for a guy that cannot run outside of the pocket. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, for the Atlanta Falcons last night, the number 16 was very prevalent. They keep thinking about the 2016 season when they lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They think about the last 2 games when they had 60-point lead and lost those games. So they only scored 16 points last night.
Yeah.
But this is a team that's going nowhere slow. Not even fast, slow. That's not bad the Atlanta Falcons are right now.
Yeah.
The biggest thing the Falcons have to look at doing, they have to move off of Matt Ryan at quarterback.
Yeah.
And if they move off Matt Ryan, they're going to trade Julio Jones. They got to get rid of Dan Quinn, the head coach. I don't even think. But Dirk Cutter, offensive coordinator, why are you playing this archaic brand of football? You bring in a guy who was an offensive coordinator in Atlanta. He went to Tampa Bay. He got fired as the head coach down there.
Yeah.
Because he ran that archaic offense. Then you bring him back in. You have not modernized the offense in Atlanta with all the weapons that you have. That's the problem right now in Atlanta, is that you are thinking about 2016 and haven't done anything to move into 2020. The Green Bay Packers are just on a roll in that division. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and that receiving core, whoever they put out there, is doing a wonderful job. And that defense, is much better than advertised in Green Bay.
Yeah, so I want to, not to beat up on Ryan, but when you're the head chief in charge, as some of my church pastors say they want to be the head chief in charge, he was 28 of 39 passes, 285 yards, and no touchdowns. Now, if he's not going to throw touchdowns anyway, then why not work on the running game more? And I think it's about when you got the most money, they want to justify that they're paying the right guy the most money. But Arthur Blank, I hear he likes the finer things in life, Big C. You can tell by the way the man dresses, he does like the finer things in life, Big C. At what point in time does Arthur Blank say, you know what, the buck stops with me? Because Arthur Blank's signing the checks, and he's seen the lack of production, and he's seen the guy that's taking the most money. At what point will he look in the mirror, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, he does look in the mirror. You see those uniforms that they had on last
Yeah.
night? Those were some sharp uniforms.
They were
that
sharp.
the Falcons had. They were
Yeah.
dressed for success. They just didn't have any success.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about quarterbacks in the NFL, when they're white and they're franchise players, they're very difficult to get rid of.
Yeah.
Because you put so much emphasis in them, saying that this is the face of your franchise. And you don't want to go out there and try to have to create a new face of a franchise. But think about what Dallas Cowboys did 4 years ago when Tony Romo got hurt.
Yeah.
They put in Dak Prescott. He never let the reins go after that. You have to deal with some young blood, some infusion in football teams from time to time.
Yeah.
You think about every position on a football team is vulnerable except for the quarterback. And that's generally the case in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because these have been white dinosaurs that have been in place for so long.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what has worked, and we'll take the Big C pause. We'll take the Big C pause and come right back in the second half. And I want to talk more about what you just said. I think it's so important. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. And I really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports Podcast. Also, you can follow NFL football on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Sports Podcast. And thank you, Chris Collinsworth, for mentioning that also. I got to bring something up. The same way we see in politics where the country's changing. The demographics are changing. White Americans will no longer be the majority of the population. Some people are saying in the next 25 to 20 years. And sometimes people are reticent to change. And sometimes what people spent their whole life building up, that a certain complexion or a certain gender was better than the opposite, it may be tough to swallow. Some of these white guys, they're not used to going into the boardroom and answering for somebody who does not look like them. We saw what happened when President Obama was elected president. There was a lot of pushback. There's no way President Obama could have spoken and behaved the way Donald Trump has and gotten even through the first year of office, Big C. No, they wouldn't stand for it. So give me your thought, because you've been in those situations too. Do you think what I said is fair, or do you think it's a fallacy, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, everybody knows that this country is operating on a racial divide. I keep telling you, what the Constitution states is what Americans want over.
Right now, the Constitution is chewing up our phone lines. I know we're going to get through it, just like an airplane going through turbulence. They don't stop flying. We hope they don't stop flying, Big C. But we're going to push through it. Go right ahead. I didn't hear the last thing you said, Big C. Your thoughts?
I said the Constitution is what Americans have lived with for the last 4 years. And when you think about the things that Donald Trump says, he states what's in the Constitution, where the white men were the only ones in power. And that's what he's been trying to keep for the last 4 years and for the next 4 years. He's not talking about equality in society. And so when you think about, he wants to put Supreme Court justices on that read the Constitution for what it says, not to interpret it, to enact what it says.
Yeah.
This is what he's been doing in America for the last 4 years. People want to point fingers at him. All you got to do is point fingers at the Constitution, because everything that he does is in that original document.
Yeah, well, we know things can change, so we will always have to disagree on that, but I understand your point too. But speaking of Constitution, what's the Constitution of the New York Jets? Sam Darnold's future with the Jets. We just talked about Matt Ryan being immobile. That means he can't move around that well. Sam Darnold's future with the Jets, in my opinion, and I really wanted him to succeed out of USC, but it's becoming more complicated, Big C. Darnold missed 3 games as a rookie, if you recall, with a foot sprain. And then I guess he had 3 more games last year because he was out kissing on those women in New York. You know those fast girls that give you mono, Big C? He was out there kissing on women and got mononucleosis. Hey, it's all fair, love, and war. Sometimes everything that looked good ain't good for you. And then this season he started and ended before he was hit. Think about this. They're 0-4. The Jets are going nowhere fast. There's really not that much for them to improve on. They've made this season more about Sam Darnold trying to figure things out. But is he the guy, or is the Jets should just start dreaming of the number 1 pick overall? We have Clemson star Trevor Lawrence. That makes the sprained AC joint in Darnold's right shoulder even more devastating, if you make sense to you. It seems as if there's a good chance that Darnold may miss Sunday's game against the Cardinals. And who knows what's going to happen beyond that, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, we discussed last week that maybe the Jets should sit down Sam Darnold and try to figure out what they have with the rest of the players on their roster.
Yeah.
And look forward to the 2021 draft in the NFL, because this is a team that's not going to get any better. You see a young quarterback struggling, and so maybe it's time to start saving his psyche as the New York Jets and just say, hey, we failed on this project.
Yeah.
Let's get from underneath it. I mean, the Bears are doing that with Mitch Trubisky. They're saying we're moving on from him. And this is what the Jets need to do. Protect his future, if he has a future. But if you look Sam Darnold, he's performing no better with the Jets than what he did at USC. USC may have had a better team personnel-wise than what the Jets did. But his success-to-innocent ratio wasn't great college.
Yeah. I mean, I really want him to succeed, but I just know that he's not ready. He's not the right fit. Whatever it is, the New York Jets are just wasting their season because they're trying to hold up some status quo. They could get him out, put him on the bench, package him up, and let somebody else come in the same way the country's going to do with Donald Trump. He's going to be kicked out of office, and he knows it. Can you imagine a president of the United States saying, I'm going to starve the American people if you don't vote for me? People are in all kind of issues, and that's what some people want. And when you say, I'm going to say some white people want, because a lot of them are really upset at it, Big C. John Gruden tests the league's patience. He swears up and down to, I guess the thing about him, he has a losing record without Tony Dungy's players, but he's still America's darling for some reason. But think about this, Big C. After week 3, the league reiterated the requirement that coaches and other sideline personnel, they must wear a mask. And at all times, this time the league specifically mentioned suspensions and or lost draft picks, Big C, or else. In week 4, your friend John Gruden, and I know you like media guys like that. Think about this. He failed to consistently pull his mask up over his chin. Whatever it was he wore last week, it looks something like linen cloth, Big C. Now the question becomes whether the NFL will do anything about it, or will they just give lip service, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I think that the NFL really has to do something about this situation, and they got to make an example of John Gruden, just like anybody else. They have to make an example of him. If you want to be that brazen that you can challenge authority because you're the head coach of a football team, take away a draft pick or two and see if that doesn't sting him in the butt. Yeah,
it might sting him in the butt, but it's like there's a privilege that comes along with how he looks, and oftentimes they'll just get a slap on the wrist, even though the whole White House administration is sick. There's people in the Pentagon sick because Donald Trump called it a hoax. And there's some athletes that say it's a hoax too. But don't tell that to 210,000 family members that have lost people to COVID-19. I want to finish up with Big C's NFL power rankings, and I'm going to start from 10 to 1, and you give me your opinion. Cleveland Browns coming in at 10 for Big C's power rankings. Big C, your thoughts? All right, Big C, I think we have you now. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, Charlton, when we think about the power rankings of the NFL, and we're 4 weeks into the season, things start to, shake themselves out. I mean, there's been some restructuring from the, beginning of the season, what we thought some teams would do, and other teams have moved in and out of the top 10. But we're early, and, it's going to get exciting as we go along.
It's going to get exciting as we go along, Big C, and we'll make sure that we clear up our phone lines. I want to go out to Big C's number 9 in Big C's NFL power rankings, the Chicago Bears. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, they took their first loss of the season, Charlton. You know, Nick Foles got his first start. They didn't get the offensive production that they thought they would.
Yep.
But they're in a division that the Green Bay Packers are running away with. They hope to finish second in that division. They hope to get Foles back on stride. Their defense has always been solid in Chicago, you know, monsters of the Midway.
Yep.
And if they keep playing well on defense and they get Foles on track, they'll get a lot better.
And stay on that spot in your boat. Wherever you are, stay on that spot because everything's sounding much better now. Number 8 in Big C's top 10 NFL rankings, the Tennessee Titans. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, they had a bye this week because they were COVID inflicted. They're still undefeated, so, you know, we'll see what happens when they get a chance to play next week.
I would look forward to seeing them. I hope everybody's healthy. Number 7 in Big C's NFL power rankings, the Pittsburgh Steel Curtain Steelers. Big C, your thoughts?
And they have a steel curtain on defense. They've been a much improved team since Ben Roethlisberger's return. Once again, they had a bye just like Tennessee, and we'll see about them next week.
We'll see about them next week. Also, coming in at Big C's NFL power rankings, number 6 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, Tom has gotten, you know, caught his stride. They've lost that opening game of the season. He had 379 yards passing, 5 touchdowns last week. That defense is under Todd Bowles in Tampa.
Yeah.
He's playing much better, Charlton. They're going to get even better as the season goes along. But as Brady becomes more comfortable and they're leading that Central Division in the NFC, they're going to be the Southern Division. They're going to be a tough team.
It's going to be a tough team. Wouldn't it be amazing if you look at number 4 in Big C's NFL top 10, none other, they're almost in Canada, the Buffalo Bills. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. And you think about the development of Josh Allen this year, Charlton.
Yeah.
He has taken leaps and strides in that draft class of quarterbacks that he came back in. Lamar Jackson was the MVP in that class last year. But when you look at what Josh Allen is doing, Charlton, he's right on the heels of duplicating what Lamar Jackson did last year. He has the Bills undefeated, and they got a ragtag group there on defense that is playing lights-out football.
Yeah, he was throwing cantaloupes in Fireball, California. Nice throwing touchdowns in the NFL. Coming in at number 4 is the Buffalo Bills. At number 3 in Big C's NFL top 10, I want to go up north. They're almost in Canada, also Big C, the Seattle Seahawks. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, Russ is just saying, let's do it again.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing. I mean, he's throwing touchdowns all over the yard, 300-yard passing games. The Seattle defense is playing up to snuff. They're trying to get better. They're trying to get healthy. They've had a wealth of injuries on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
But what Russell Wilson is doing right now, Charlton, is unparalleled in the NFL. He's throwing touchdowns every game. He had his first interception last week, but it was against the Miami Dolphins, and the Seahawks stayed undefeated.
Yeah, and I really feel bad for the Seabirds up in Seattle, because they don't have any food to eat. They're no longer having fans in the stadium, so they would hang around watching NFL football to go down and get the French fries and whatever else people left. But those birds have got to find another way to eat, Big C. I want to go into Big C's top 2 NFL power rankings. The Green Bay Packers coming in at number 2 for Big C. And give me your thoughts. Aaron Rodgers seems to have found a stride, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has always been a consistent quarterback when you think about the records that the Packers had last year.
Yeah.
He's just picked up on that and gotten better. You know, he got challenged during the draft when they brought some love into Green Bay, and he showed how much he appreciated the love that they were giving him. And he has gone out, man, he has punished NFL defenses in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
When you look at the numbers that the Packers have put up, they haven't scored less than 33 points in a game this year, Charlton. So this is an offense that's on track. And their defense did not give up a passing touchdown last night. They're 4-0. They're the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, it's amazing what men do when love comes to town. They tend to take showers, even brush our teeth and wear deodorant. It's all fair in love and war, Big C. Big C's power rankings, the number 1 team in Big C's power rankings in the universe, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you think about the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe they won their last 12 games.
Yeah.
So this is a team that's, you know, just getting better and better every week. You think about a team that's a Super Bowl champion, and they improve talent-wise during the offseason.
Yeah.
And it's showing. Even when they struggle, they still can put up 3 touchdowns in a game. And that's what championship teams do. They find a way to stop you defensively, whether you're healthy or you're unhealthy.
Yep.
The Kansas City Chiefs, just hands down, are the best team in the NFL right now. And no one right now has an answer for what they can do offensively.
No, they really don't. Stay on that spot in your boat because you're sounding really good, Big C. But what's not sounding good, Houston has a problem. The NFL Houston Texans, they get rid of Bill O'Brien after an 0-4 start, who I believe, and I have to Google this, but I believe he still has a better record than John Gruden. If you look at his record versus John Gruden's record, take away the players that Tony Dungy coached in Tampa, and Bill O'Brien has a better record than John Gruden percentage-wise, Big C. But who will be the next NFL head coach that may not make it to Halloween, Big C? Your thoughts?
You know, and that's going to be a toss-up. You know, I see a couple coaches really on the hot seat. Adam Gase, I don't know what love affair he got going on in New York. But he's kissing on the same person that Donald was when he got mononuclear. I look at Dan Quinn in Atlanta. I mean, this is like goodwill hunting.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in Atlanta, you're a team that can't score any points,
yeah,
and you can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
Also, look at Matt Patricia in Detroit. This guy is 10, 25, and 1
yeah,
as a head coach.
Yeah.
So when I look at those 3 coaches together, and still, don't toss out Nick Fangio in Denver.
Yeah.
He's struggling.
Yeah, but Nick Fangio, at least he's in Rocky Mountain. He's just relaxed, Big C. Sometimes maybe he's a little bit too relaxed because of some things they made legal up in the state of Colorado. I wish the best for everybody. I really do. But I hope that somewhere down the line that we'll find some room for African-American coaches too. Because these guys have the lifetime pension with the NFL. They got money coming in. They'll never have to work again. But the good old boys are taking care of the good old boys, and I hope that we can at least get some equality when it comes to NFL football. Big C, I know that Potus is not – it's amazing. I still wonder how he tells poor Americans, which are mostly white, that if you don't vote for him, he's not going to pass a stimulus bill. He's not going to do anything to make sure you get your mortgage or the stay on foreclosures or evictions. He's not going to do anything unless you vote for him. Isn't that – you do that to your base? And those guys are so dumb, they're still saying POTUS, POTUS, POTUS. How do you vote for a guy that's going to kick you out of your property and again you don't have no food on the table, Big C? Your thoughts?
You know, we've never had a president who threatened the American public before. This is when you look at a third world country and you have a
dictator,
a guy who is just an aristocrat.
Yeah.
This is what Trump thinks that he is. But when you tell the American public, whether they voted for you or not, that he is not going to help you out, that he is not thinking about you. You think about this 30 days prior to an election, and I don't even care if you're a Trump backer, but he tells you he doesn't give a damn about you or your family unless you vote for him.
Yeah.
He's an American president, just like he was speaking last month. He was elected for 4 years to be a president of the United States. But right now he's saying that's not the point.
Yeah.
Is that if you don't elect him for another 4 years, for the next 4 months you're going to do without as the American public.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't give a damn. Him and his family is taking all from this government that they can. So all of you intelligent white people out there who says that he's going to make America great, as they're putting that eviction notice on your door, you're sitting in that food line, your family has lost somebody to COVID-19 or has been affected by COVID-19. This is a guy who's going to make America first. No, he's making Donald Trump first and his kids. He doesn't give a damn about America.
No, and he's also trying to kill health care. Imagine that when your kids get sick. They're going to tell them, who's your insurance carrier? Trump Care. There's no such thing as Trump Care. Think about that as you go to the ballot. I also want to take a pause before we cover some basketball. Music icon. I mean, it's amazing. It's about how you live. Iconic musician Eddie Van Halen passed away today at 65 years young. Many hit songs from Panama, Panama, also Running with the Devil. I sing it so many times, not as good as him. And Jump. Might as well just jump. I mean, I remember him so many top charts. He had the top charts jump, I think in 1984 was the only time that he cracked the pop charts as number one. But I remember he was so good on the guitar. He appeared with Michael Jackson for Beat It. And when he played the guitar, I think there was a fusion between black and white soul and then rock and roll that came together because those two great music icons did it together. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when we look at the music industry, we lose so many great people every year in that industry. And, Van Halen is just one of those iconic guitarists. Over time, his music will always resonate.
Yeah, he also performed at Van Halen performed at the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. So they were doing their thing. I mean, for a long time, 65 years of young, thoughts and prayers to his family. But it's amazing how much the music just plays within your brain. And no matter whether you love hip-hop, rock and roll, or soul, it's all good when somebody comes together and leaves lasting memories. Really want to wish thoughts and prayers to his family. I also want to bring up NCAA football, the Pac-12. Kevin Sumlin, University of Arizona head coach, tests positive for COVID-19. He's in quarantine, says he's feeling okay, but they got to be safe. I think he's 56 years old, so it hit home to him, even though Arizona, a lot of guys went down to the rallies that Potus had when he swept through Arizona, and a lot of people have gotten sick. I want to bring up the NBA game, the finals tonight in the NBA, in the bubble down in Orlando. When you get hot outside, sometimes people go splash some water on your face when it's too hot. Will the Lakers be able to make a big enough splash to cool off the heat tonight, Big C? Your thoughts?
The bubble has gotten interesting in the championship series, Charlton, because Miami is not going to roll over. It's about Davis and James. Can they get at least 56 points between them? It's not the rest of the Lakers. Those guys have to lead the march. The thing with Miami is that they have a wealth of shooters. And if they can get those shooters hot, they're going to challenge the Lakers, and they can even up this series tonight.
If you're looking at a player, you talk about Davis and LeBron, and I don't know if Bam's playing or not, Big C. They're just right about tipping it off. And at the same time, I saw, and again, everybody has their own opinion, but Butler cannot go for 40 back-to-back, but he's going to have to. I just don't think he has it in him to go back-to-back, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he doesn't have to have 40 back-to-back. The thing is, you got to take Davis out of the equation if you're the Miami Heat. That's the guy that you need to stifle. You need to do whatever you can to keep him down in the low 20s during the game. You have enough shooters on Miami, Dragic, Hilo. Those guys can put points in the basket.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to do. They need to have their shooters shoot. And don't be afraid from that three-point arc.
Yeah, I want to see Rajon Rondo do his thing. I don't know how to feel about tonight's game, but I think if the Lakers come to play and show some energy, that the Lakers will go up 3-1 in this series. But if not, then sometimes you got to jump in the lake twice if you want to cool down the heat. It's all fair and love and war. Can't wait to see. I'm getting that game on DVR. I also want to say I believe the WNBA may crown another champion in the WNBA Finals. We have the Seattle Storm and the Las Vegas Aces. Sue Bird, if she goes out with another champion, Seattle's looking for the fourth WNBA championship. But sometimes when you go down to Vegas, sometimes the shenanigans may happen too. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the ladies can play some basketball. You talk about the fundamentals of the game, and they represent that. When you have an opportunity to close out a team for a championship, you don't want to let that opportunity slide, because as we see in sports, when anybody gets hot, it's anybody's given game on any given night.
Yeah, when you get hot, man, you got the Seattle Storm. They needed some storms to happen down there in Orlando, Florida. They're actually in Bradenton, Florida, the IMG Academy. I wish the men and the women nothing but the best. Really should be some good basketball going on. Big C, I want to look at a little bit of baseball, because baseball is so different this year. When I'm watching teams kind of play what they call a bubble, and they're flying around to different cities, select cities to play in the bubble, not having really a home field schedule. Give me your feeling on how you're feeling Major League Baseball. We have the Braves over the Marlins, and I don't want to give out too many scores because a lot of people still watching. The Astros playing the A's, and then the Yankees and the Rays, the Pirates and the Dodgers. That'll be pitching out later tonight. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, baseball has been interesting in this abbreviated season.
Yep.
We've seen some marvelous baseball. We've seen some home runs. We've seen some pitching. And now that we're in the playoffs, Charlton, every game counts. And so you got to have your best every day when you come to this abbreviated playoff season.
Yeah.
And the best teams with the best rosters are going to win. It's not going to be anybody sneaking up on you. It's the guys with the depth and that have been there before.
Yeah. And hopefully for the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw thinks that he's playing in the regular season as opposed to the postseason, and that gives the Dodgers a chance to finally, hopefully, if you're a Dodger fan, have a chance at winning the World Series. I want to close out with some thoughts about college football. I know, to me, this has been the first year really in my life that I don't think I've gotten a hold of college football the way I normally like to. I know the NFL, all the league, every conference is playing, NFC, and then the AFC, every division is playing. College football is a little bit different. But I got to ask you, college football, are they sending the wrong message versus COVID-19? We know when the NFL had a player test positive, one person, Cam Newton, they pushed off the game with the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots. Several other, Tennessee had the same thing happen. But college football, when they have a positive test, they'll put that player in quarantine. They don't really try to push off games. I mean, some of them do, but I can't believe that there are people testing positive and then they're canceling games. I think they're keeping it so quiet, and I don't think it's fair for the players. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, there have been 22 games canceled or postponed in college football thus far this year, and there's going to be at least that many more as the season goes on, because as you continue to play, this pandemic is still going to increase, and there's no way that you can protect the players because you're not in a bubble. So college football will cancel or delay another 20 games as this season goes on, and that will put the bowls and the playoffs in a huge disarray.
Yeah, and they're only doing it to get the money, Big C. When I saw some of the games over the weekend, I'm sure you will agree, I saw a lot of fans that were clustered together. Maybe they're from the same household, I don't know. But when we look at what's happened at the White House in the Rose Garden, you ever hear of a stinking rose? The White House has some stinking roses, and you got to get pretty close to people within 6 feet. I saw so many people hugging up on each other, and a lot of them are sick. And I feel for our nation because I want our country to do great, Big C. But we have America's waking up to what's going on. We have a dictator in the White House. I never thought, even when Governor Walz was saying segregation now, segregation forever, and Bull Connor, and all of those really bad guys, even though we marched for civil rights, we marched to have the schools desegregate. We marched for so many things in our life. But I doubt if any white American has ever heard a president of the United States tell white people, because that's who he's talking to, that if you don't give me your vote, I'm going to starve you. I'm not going to pass a stimulus bill. I'm going to eliminate health care. I'm going to take away a woman's right to choose. And COVID-19 is not that bad after all, to 210,000 fatalities. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, welcome to Trump Nation. This is what he told people. This is what he's going to do. Americans, buckle up, because you're about to get kicked in the butt.
Kicking in the butt, and there'll be another October surprise. We've already seen 3 of them, and there'll be a couple more coming. So make sure you get out the vote, get your ballots in as soon as possible. That's the best thing we can say to you. I want to say that Big C wants to be the new sexy. We want to be clever. We want to be engaging. We want to be bold. We want to be funny. We want to be honest. We want to be real sports talk. And I ask anyone that's looking at shows, no matter who they are, TV or podcast, just Google what we say compared to what other people are saying. Some of our other brethren, they don't even talk about what's going on with the election anymore because they've been muzzled. You ever muzzle a dog, Big C, and it try to talk? You ever muzzle a dog, Big C? Your thoughts?
No, you want him to bark just in case somebody comes up in the yard.
Yeah, but some of those networks, they put a muzzle on their broadcasters. The last thing I want to say to you is I laughed so hard the other day when you talked about Mike Pence licking on Donald Trump. There was a commercial I saw. A man was asleep on the couch. He had peanut butter on his face, and his dog was just licking him and licking him and licking him, going to town on him. And I imagine that's what Mike Pence is doing to Donald Trump. It's all fair level war. Big C, hide your peanut butter. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Houdini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, we hope that the NFL wants to keep its players healthy. They played a game last night with the Chiefs and the Patriots because they didn't want to give up on that $30 million payday from the network, so they put the game on even with positive COVID-19 tests. I want to say thank you to our frontline healthcare workers our nurses, doctors, first responders. I know you don't give a damn about what the president says. Keep doing what you do every day, keeping America safe.
And keep doing it, and keep doing it. And make sure you vote every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.